Well, it's lovely to be here, and it's pretty difficult to follow two of the country's most successful entrepreneurs and one of the country's leading politicians, but let me try. I was asked to think about the ingredients that had led me down the path that I've been down, which is with about 4 different careers. And without wishing to sound at all odd about it, I mean, the first thing that I benefited from was a degree from this place. And you should all recognise how valuable it is that you go out of here with a degree from Oxford. Cambridge is probably nearly as good. But in the days when I went out to seek a job, which is in stark contrast, I suspect, to what you're about to face, it was very easy, because there were jobs and there weren't enough of us coming out of Oxford and Cambridge to take them, to get one, so that I wrote to 3 city solicitors firms asking for studentship articles, as it was then called. Got interviews from all 3. The interview that I first took was conducted in the corridor at the back of the law courts, because the 2 partners had a law case going on at the time. So I was escorted down to the law courts. I was interviewed on a bench in the back of the courts. The only question I remember being asked was, do you play golf? And my stock answer historically had been, I'm not old enough. But some instinct told me that that was perhaps the wrong answer. So I'd simply said no. And it turned out I was talking to 2 fanatical golf players, of course. So, that's an example of just a little bit of luck and a little bit of judgment. And I got the job. Over the years, I spent 17 years in a partnership in the city as a lawyer. I was then asked to go to run the corporate finance department in a merchant bank, and I did that. It was a difficult decision. Being a partner in a law firm was a very stable and secure role, and going into investment banking was seen as being somewhat risky. But I was fortunate. My firm said that I could have a 2-year re-entry ticket, and so I had no risk at all, and took the view that if I didn't try something different, I never would. So I went off to try investment banking, and that worked out reasonably well. I then tried to retire at the age of 55, but found that I was chairman of a newspaper group, which was fascinating and fun, and of a very big conglomerate, which was much more challenging. I finished those 2 roles and was then approached to become chairman of one of our clearing banks, Lloyds. Now, I thought at this point in time that I was going to take life easier and retire and spend more time with my family and so on. And a great friend of mine said, look, Victor, you're not being asked to do this job. It's your obligation. Those were in the days when banks were seen rather differently from the way they're seen before. It's your obligation. If you're asked to do it, you must do it. So I went off and became the chairman of a bank for 5 years. Now, I'm corporate man, unlike these characters, and what did I find on the way through? I mean, certainly a lot of luck, certainly a lot of being in the right place at the right time, and you cannot legislate for it. I mean, there is an element of that, and you've just got to accept it. And I accept that I've been incredibly lucky in the way, in the career that I've had. Just 1 or 2 indicators as to what is important when you go in to run a business. The first thing is that you set a strategy and you set a plan and you then got to execute it. You can't do it on your own, so you need to have people around you who have common cause with you, who see a business the way you do, who get an excitement from the plan, from the journey that you're looking at. Peter talked about friends. I'm talking about something slightly different, which is having around you people who are both congenial and collegiate, but also who share your vision for the business. But the friends bit is certainly important. You don't need to make enemies. You don't need to clamber up greasy poles and push other people down them, or climb trees and push people off them. There are lots of ways in which you can pick and select people who you want to work with, and do that in a personable way, and have people around you who you want to work with and who you enjoy working with. There are a number of stakeholders in any business. The people around you, the people employed in the business, are one of the stakeholders. The other for most businesses are the customers, the people who give those businesses their profits, their earnings. And you need to be market focused. You need, in any business you go into, to recognise what it is that makes that business successful. So you need to see what makes somebody walk in the door of one of Theo's shops, or decide to go to one bank rather than another. And you need to give people a feeling that they are welcomed and valued as customers. And that's part, I think, of being people-centric, whether it's the people around you or the customers in the business. Reputation and integrity, Peter talked about, and I couldn't agree more. If you want to be successful in business, you need a reputation for integrity and honesty. You need to make that reputation, you need to husband it, and you only need one slip to lose it. So you can build it for a lifetime, you can lose it with one slip. So take care and don't. And the last thing I'd perhaps say before finishing is that if you're successful in business, you've got to be thankful for that success, whether it's been luck, judgment, hard work, whatever. And you therefore have to recognise an obligation to give back to society something that you've learned in your business life. So if you've got business acumen like these characters have, then put it back into a charity, into some philanthropy, into some social purpose. Michael Howard talked movingly about
Helen House.
Helen House. And that's important, and that's something whenever you get an opportunity you should do. Recognise the value of what you've been given through success in your job, but make sure you give back to the society that's benefited you as you go along the way.